I was watching a video by Captain Andy this morning, Andy from Shelton. Hi there, Andy. And he's talking about Jacqueline Glenn, who's quite a prominent YouTube user here with about 40,000 subscribers, and other YouTubers as well who've got a lot of subscribers, and what their role is, or might be, and what kind of relationship they might have with smaller subscribers. And Andy is saying, I think quite rightly, that occasionally what happens is that someone with a few subscribers whose reason for being here really is conversational, sometimes they will make a response or get in touch with a larger user, someone like Jacqueline Glenn, Amazing Atheist, Pat Condell and so on, and with the aim of initiating conversation or furthering it. And the response, they either get no response back at all, which you never do with people like Pat Condell, for example, or if they do get a response, sometimes it's very condemnatory and dismissive, or just a kind of ponage response. So Jacqueline Glenn makes a response to this moderate Christian guy, and it's very condemnatory and just takes a piss, basically. And so the question is, what kind of a relationship should these people have, if they have a relationship at all, given that it's a very asymmetric relationship, and what role might a larger user have in this network? I think of it as a series of communities. Some people don't like that term, that's fine. But whatever it is, this network that allows us to communicate to one another and have something like interesting conversations and relationships. What is the role of that? I was looking at a bit of research a couple of years ago about Facebook, actually, which might be kind of play into this, which was to do with the whole idea that we're all kind of connected by 6 degrees of separation. You've probably heard of that. There's a film with that title, nothing to do with it, but this idea that everyone in the world is kind of connected by 6 degrees of separation. And the piece of research I read was just a sense in which, to what extent is that kind of true on something like Facebook, a social network? And it clearly kind of is. I don't know, I can't remember exactly the details of how many connections there are that join myself to yourself in a network like Facebook. Probably not 6, given that you're watching this YouTube video. We probably share interests quite closely. We probably share friends of friends of friends, rather than friends of friends of friends of friends of friends of friends. But on Facebook, as I say, most people in the planet who are on the Facebook are connected by less than 6 degrees. Interesting side issue to this is a great website, I'm not sure if it's still up and running, called Band to Band, B-A-N-D to Band, and basically you can tap in the name of any 2 musicians and it will derive the connections between them. This person played guitar on this album, the drummer on that album was this person who was also in this band with this other person. So it'll do a network of connections, a link, a degrees of separation between any two people you put in. And you can get really extraordinary connections. Some of them are quite long, but you can get them connected up. Sorry, that's a bit of a deviation. But to get back to the 6 degrees of separation on Facebook and how larger users here on YouTube might play into that idea, what the research that I found suggested was that yes, on Facebook we're all connected by 6 degrees of separation, but some are more connected than others. It really relies on the fact that some people on Facebook are what it referred to as hyper-connected, by which it means that whilst most of us have got about 120, 150 friends in inverted commas, some have much less, some have a few more, there are some people who've got considerably more. Some of them are celebrities, but a lot of them are just people who've hyper connected. Either they're very sociable people or they accept friendships quite a lot and are just very active in those kind of environments, and they may have tens or even hundreds of thousands of friends, and they act as kind of nodes or hubs through which a lot of the networks pass. So if I'm connected to you on Facebook via 6 degrees of separation, at least one, probably 2 or 3 of those connections will be massive users with massive numbers of connections, massive numbers of friends. And these are kind of terminal points, it's the equivalent of crew if you're travelling on the British Rail network. It's that kind of thing, all roads lead through that particular junction. And the same I think is true kind of on YouTube, or could be on YouTube, in terms of the kind of informal connections. Probably in terms of the actual connections. I mean, I did a little bit of work of mapping connections subscriber connections and recommended video connections here on YouTube. Because obviously if you're subscribed to me, then there's kind of a line drawing us, yes. And then via 1 degree of separation you're connected to someone I'm subscribed to, and so on. So there is a literal line through there, and chances are you will be subscribed to The Amazing Atheist, or you'll be subscribed to Numberphile, or you'll be subscribed to, you know, Pat Condell or Thunderfoot or something, Vice or SourceFed or something that's got a lot of subscribers. I'm subscribed to Vice, so we have that in common. So, you know, we are literally connected, as literal as digital networks can be. We are literally kind of connected to one another via these large channels, but also in a more informal sense. I'm not subscribed to either Pat Condell or The Amazing Atheist, but I kind of know what they're doing because I overhear about it. You know, other people talk about it. So I have a more tangential, a more glancing relationship to those channels. So what those channels seem to be doing to me is, not doing to me, but doing, in my opinion, is providing something of that same function that hyper-connected people on Facebook do, which is to provide a kind of terminal point via which lots of people can pass through to be connected to one another, in a very literal sense. I mean by that as well. I mean, just to return back to Jacqueline Glenn and her response to another butthurt Christian, which is this moderate Christian who tried to get into conversation with her. I would never have heard about him if it wasn't for the fact that he posted his video as a response to her, and she responded to him. I mean, she responded to him critically, she got a lot of flack down on him, but along with a lot of support for him. So in a sense, she just kind of drew attention to him. And I've looked at that video, and I may well make a response or a comment on his channel. He's kind of on my radar now. I'm almost connected to him on a conversational level. So whilst Jacqueline Glenn may not be participating and contributing to the conversation in the sense of a kind of lateral, parallel, symmetrical way that you and I are talking, for example, Andy or whoever else is listening to this, Jacqueline Glenn is contributing in a way by providing something of a gravity well through which we can all swing and meet one another. I do wish it was more conducive to conversation. I certainly think someone like Thunderfoot, whose remit is science and education for the win, could do that with something with his channel. The responses on his videos tend to be way off topic. He doesn't tend his garden in that sense at all. Something like his comment section, his responses section, could be a very good hub, as could indeed The Amazing Atheist if he chose to make it that way. But yeah, that's just that really. That yes, we are all connected by 6 degrees of separation. But if I want to talk to you, I don't just go along this flat plane. I'm kind of swooping through these gravity wells. And it may well be that I'm rolling next to someone else on this gravity well for a while that I haven't met before, and that could be a good thing. Anyway, that'll do. I feel like I've warbled on, rambled on a lot. Bye.